Let me in, coach.
Plexiglass.
Almost.
Plexiglass.
Almost.
Plexi. All right. Waiver time. Very interesting time of year for waivers. We talked about this last week. There is one part offense, one part defense going on in the waiver wire now, and it stinks when people like Jason, who I'm playing, have fab dollars and I don't.
I saved it. If you listen to our tips show,
Oh,
I think that was one of our tips originally, was try to save a couple bucks for the playoffs.
Well, how do you save money when you lose Arian Foster, Dion Lewis, Thomas Rawls, and Jonathan Stewart? Maybe sometimes you just have to spend it.
Oh, I agree with both of these things as hot tips. I am all about going all in when there's a player like D'Angelo Williams. I will gladly empty my bankroll. However, if there's a situation where you can end up with some cash at the end of the year, it's very beneficial.
Yeah, I've definitely regretted not having some in there because it would just make a big difference. All right, wide receivers. Let's talk about them first. I will tell you who my favorite wide receiver pickup is, but I want to know. Just tell me, who's yours?
Tyler Lockett.
That's mine too.
Then that's mine too.
Sure. Did he play good this week?
He played really good.
And behind him, I would actually Michael Floyd is he's
pretty
widely owned. Though,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I wouldn't consider him really in most leagues. So
the guy after that if I was gonna pick somebody else, it would be Ted Ginn Jr. That to me he's got a matchup against New York Giants this week where we're talking about playoffs. You have to have a big production, and so Ted Ginn can go out there and get you 4 fantasy points, and that's fine. But Ted Ginn can go out there and get you 30 fantasy points by catching only 3 long bomb touchdowns. And if you're looking for a guy, you had an injury and you're in a flex position that's bad, he is the type that I think can get it done for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think another guy I wanted to just mention his name for upside is Dorial Green-Beckham again. He was targeted a little more heavily, 3 for 53. It's a limited offense, but depending on your situation, like right now, I'm looking at Dorial Green-Beckham and Devontae Parker, and I grab a coin and I flip it. And that's how I feel right now about those two guys. Big play opportunities, limited catches.
And not to gloss over Lockett, we get back to him.
We will. He's 21% owned, by the way, which is great.
He's available in 80% of leagues. He was 6 catches for 104 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Russell Wilson is just magma nuclear levels of hot right now. And we know that Doug Baldwin is the one who's really getting it done, but teams can't let Doug Baldwin beat them week after week after week. So
yes, they can.
I guess, yeah, that's fair.
Cleveland sure can.
That's very fair. But I like how Tyler Lockett is getting involved. The run game is going to take a hit. I know they're Seattle, and they're known for this monster run game. But when you're rolling out Dujuan Harris and Bryce Brown, you're not just going to be running out the clock and like Marshawn Lynch or Thomas Rawls can do it. So they're going to have to air it out.
And Russell's part of that running game too.
Absolutely.
So to your point, I want to add to it. Tyler Lockett, I love him. I love him almost on the same plane as Doug Baldwin. I also like Jermaine Kearse. Kearse cannot be ignored. He had 2 touchdowns recently, too. He fits in that category. Those 3 guys, no Jimmy Graham, no running game, 5 touchdowns a week for Russell Wilson lately. Great matchups on the table. I'm telling you right now, Jermaine Kearse is not a last week, right? He didn't get any of the touchdowns that were 3 to Baldwin, 2 to Lockett. Jermaine Kearse had 7 catches.
7 for 74, and the last game he played did he miss the game before last?
I don't know.
think so. Did he have a gooser?
Yeah, he had
Wow,
a gooser. That's the problem. Right before that, he had 2 touchdowns
well,
in a game.
You did have the Jimmy Graham changeover there too.
True.
So I just don't want his name because if you're in a deeper league and Lockett and Baldwin are gone and you need a spot start, I would probably play Kearse over Devontae Parker. I'd rather have my stock invested into Russell Wilson than into Ryan Tannehill finding a guy deep.
And this week is perfect for that. At home against Cleveland, it was similar to last week, where I was saying Arizona was playing Minnesota, and I said, I want to start all my Cardinals if I can.
Yeah, you made that call.
Now, unluckily, Fitzgerald was the one who didn't get anything done, but everybody else got in on the action. I see a situation where that could easily happen up in Seattle. And the last point I'll make real quick for Michael Floyd, he's owned in 73% of leagues, so he's available in some. And 4 of his last 5 games, over 100 yards. So just something to think about for Michael Floyd.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and talk about a big position of need right now at running back, one of the most difficult positions to get late in the season, but now you have these injuries. I'm thinking Stewart. We didn't mention him on the news because the definitive report on him is really going to be later today when practice takes place and when we get reports on his status. Right now it's a sprained foot.
On Jonathan Stewart,
sorry. And this team has clinched the bye week. This team doesn't need to risk Jonathan Stewart this week if it's anything more than a very small injury that he can recover from, and that means practice all week on. So I am very doubtful about him. So you might need somebody to fill in. So we'll talk about his direct backups. We'll also talk about other options. But
yeah,
Tim,
so Yeldon, possibly gone. J. Stu, possibly gone.
Rawls.
Thomas Rawls, definitely gone.
Possibly gone.
Yeah,
Spencer
possibly
Ware,
gone.
people depending on Spencer Ware, we don't know.
Absolutely. So there are a lot, and these are players that are on playoff rosters. So we have a lot of people like you, Andy.
Melvin Gordon, visibly gone.
Yes, you have Rawls. You are a light and a beacon shining to our listeners because you started 1 and 4.
It doesn't feel that way.
Well,
that part of
You
it.
started 1 and 4, and you came back and you made the playoffs. You went 8 and 4, and you have dealt with so many injuries this year. And so now this week, yet again, you've got Rawls out, you've got J. Stu possibly out, and you're in the second round of the playoffs. What do you do? So you are the person I want to hear from the most, who can help the Foot Clan the most. People that are in need of running backs. Who do they claim first? And this has nothing to do with the fact.
Everything to do with the fact that he wants me to reveal my waiver wire order.
What's more important to you, you or the Foot
listeners?
Clan?
The
there
listeners.
you go. Let's have it.
Look, as one of our Foot Clan listeners put it on Twitter, there are many repercussions for this week.
The fantasy.
However,
Reaper.
I wish that I was not a beacon of light or whatever you called it with Thomas Rawls and Jonathan Stewart and Deion Lewis and Foster and all that jazz. So, yes, the Foot Clan listeners are far more important than our matchup. I can defeat you regardless of the knowledge you have. Tim Hightower, he's at the top of the list, 28 carries. A lot of questions I've already received from listeners about Tim Hightower versus Lamar Miller. Tim Hightower versus guy who gets Jeremy Hill, okay? These other options. 28 carries.
That was the answer. Last week was pretty hands off. We advised Hightower because we thought he'd be the guy who's going to get the touches, but you couldn't really confidently play him because you didn't know. It could have been Spiller, but Andy's right. 28 carries.
You can stink and have a great fantasy game, and he did, and he did.
Yeah, and so Hightower is at the top of all the lists, 40% owned right now. There are a number of guys that are basically not owned that you know are going to be there, and we're going to give you some basic guidance as to whether you should sign them.
I would say second on the list, who is half owned, would be James White.
Really?
That's what I would say, yeah.
Oh, okay.
To me, James White has shown that he is really starting to fill in more of the Deion Lewis role. Last week we had that amazing catch that was overturned for 38 yards, so his stat line didn't
One carry last week, but it was a touchdown.
Right, and that's we've seen that a couple of times now on the season where he gets a few touches down near the goal line, and they use him in packages where who are you going to defend? Not James White. You're going to take on Gronk, and you're going to be looking at the main option.
And I will disagree with you. I don't think James White's a bad signing. He's not the next on my list.
Number one on my list is Denard Robinson.
Well, I was going to say that you're playing for this week. Denard Robinson faces Atlanta. He would be higher than James White to me. I would still rather have Hightower, I think, than I would Denard Robinson, but both guys are valuable. Robinson's not owned at all, so he's available. 14 for 75 and a touchdown last week. So Robinson takes the cake there. If you're in a PPR, White rises up a little bit more, but obviously he's not getting between the tackle carries, and he kind of needs that touchdown regardless. What about some other guys here? What about Brandon Bolden? You like James White. If Blunt is out, Bolden had 16 carries last week.
Yeah, Bolden is definitely an option worth picking up if Blunt is out. If Blunt is
in, and they play
then
Tennessee. So Tennessee, I don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points on New England to make that game anything but a running game second half.
Yeah, Brandon Bolden should be looked at. I still like him less than several other guys. I would rather have Dujuan Harris. That's a guy, especially with the matchup, like you said, going against Cleveland. To me, that would be one of the guys highest on my list as far as picking up. Here's another guy. Let's talk, if we may,
We may.
The Carolina backfield. Let's go with the assumption, because we don't know yet. We have to go with the assumption. Let's say Jay Stu is out. You're a playoff contender. You're not sure if you've got Jay Stu in or not, and you don't have another option behind him. You have to go and pick up and play the guy behind him. Let's just say, hypothetically, who is it?
I know who I would play. Mike, I would love to hear from you.
I tweeted out, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a report on ESPN from a beat reporter in Carolina that despite being inactive, the guy who would take over for Jonathan Stewart is Cameron Artis-Payne.
So do you buy it? Because I do.
I buy it
do
completely. I'm almost surprised that the three of us are unanimous about this. But Cameron Artis-Payne in the offseason pre-draft, that was one of my favorite boys. Being,
don't gloat about it yet. He hasn't gotten the carries
I
yet.
know, but I'm just saying there was belief from the offseason, and we've heard it all year long. It was weird that report came out 2 weeks ago, but we heard it, 2 months ago, and we heard it preseason that Carolina believes that if Jay Stu were to go down, Cap would be able to take kind of that workhorse role. Now, I completely agree. We don't know that. We don't know if it's true or not, but that is the guy that I would be drafting or signing off of the waiver wire if I had Jonathan Stewart.
We have a perfect example of this situation taking place in Seattle right now. Fred Jackson, you're going to be a third down guy. Fozzie Whitaker, you're a third down guy. Mike Tolbert, you're a fullback most of the time. He could take a decent amount of important carries if the game got close. I think Tolbert is more reliable than Cameron Artis-Payne would be. That being said, I think Artis-Payne will be out there, and I think why not give the guy 20 carries if your season is locked up and you need to keep Jonathan Stewart healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know they're playing for the perfect season, which would be nice, but they're playing for the Super Bowl, and a great way to get ready for that is if you want to rest Jonathan Stewart, you have his backup, get him some real experience right now, just in case.
Pop quiz: top 5 rushing running backs in the league.
As far as yardage,
top 5 yard guys.
Adrian Peterson,
number 1.
Todd Gurley,
number 4.
Jonathan Stewart,
number 3.
Ooh.
Doug Martin,
number 2.
Yeah, so we need one more. Who's been?
You guys did good. That was pretty good.
Let me look at a team list real quick.
I'll let you figure that out. Doug Martin is at 12-14.
Yeah, he's been
just behind
a
AP.
great year.
Just behind AP. So just kind of surprising. Chris Ivory's the answer.
Okay. Thank
you.
With 9-14. So kind of interesting. All right. I kind of say that because the yardage is obviously there for Jonathan Stewart and whatever person that comes into that role. Are you signing Fred Jackson in any leagues? He had 7 carries last week, only 1 catch.
No, I'm not going to pick him up. We've seen what he is going to be, and while he might get a little bit more involved, it's not going to be enough to matter. He could get a touchdown and be okay, but he's not the guy that's going to really carry the load there.
Another guy that people want to talk about, Isaiah Crowell had 20 carries, 145, 2 touchdowns, only 36% owned, but he plays Seattle this week.
And he played San Francisco when he put up those numbers, so no.
Well, the funniest part I thought of Crowell's game was, I don't know if you saw his quote after the game. He was saying, man, I imagine what it would be like if we had just committed to the run earlier, and well, we saw what you were doing running the ball earlier, and it was under 4 yards a carry and not getting the job done, so you had to throw the ball.
You know what was surprising to me is looking at how many carries he actually has been getting. Yeah, I just assume they have not been
double.
They've been going away from the run, but yeah, he's double-digit carries every week. So do something with that and then complain.
All right, any chance that Matt Jones delivers for owners this week?
Possible. If you're picking up a Washington running back, Matt Jones is who I'm going to go.
Fighting for the playoffs there. Yeah. All right. Any other names? Would you sign Bryce Brown in the context? I mean, I know we said we liked Harris.
Deep.
I would probably sign them both.
Deep.
Yeah, I mean, they're worth it. So let me just ask this for the listener listening. There are a lot of people that this is the list that matters to them today, is this running back list. So you've got I'd like to order essentially our top 4 guys.
Okay.
Each of you, your top 4. So I would definitely go Tim Hightower first if he's out there. I would go James White for me personally. Dujuan Harris or Denard Robinson would be next. and then Dujuan Harris, followed by, I'm going to go 5, Cameron Artis-Payne. That would be my list.
I would go T.J. Yeldon, Tim Hightower.
T.J. Yeldon.
Yeah, get him. If he's on your waivers, I know he's not playing, but grab him.
He's owned in like 98% of leagues.
But those 2% of leagues.
Number 1, Denard Robinson. Yeah, T.J. Yeldon could be a league winner if you pick him up right now.
Yeah, AP as well.
Denard Robinson, Tim Hightower. Then I would Harris, and number 4, probably from our list that we've given, Matt Jones, or even I like Bilal Powell in a PPR.
All right, I'll give you my 5. My number 1 guy will be Hightower. My number 2 guy is going to be Denard Robinson. I'm actually going to number 3, I'm going to make Brandon Bolden. Number 4, I'm going to make Artis-Payne. And then number 5, I'll make Dujuan Harris. So I'm going to leave James White off the list.
And just if you're wondering why for Yeldon, good grief, man. Denard Robinson, why is he number 1 for me?
You need a timeout.
I do. Matchups this week, the Jags are playing the Falcons. Next week, they play the Saints.
All right, tight end options. There are needs out there for tight end. Most certainly, Zach Miller had a very good week. He's only 19% owned. I'm buying into Zach Miller. He would be my kind of top pickup this week. Do you agree, or is there somebody else you like more?
No, I like Zach Miller a lot. He's been coming on strong for quite a while. The last month worth of games, he's been a good fantasy option more often than he is not. Martellus Bennett being gone, I like Zach Miller a lot.
And Bennett has been we like to crap on Bennett a lot, but he's a good player, and he's been shockingly bad. I mean, we talk about he's not a guy you want to rely on later on in the season because he just seems to fade out, but not like this. I mean, these are epic levels of just dropping off completely in a system that is friendly to the tight end.
Who are you talking about?
I was talking about Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
You mean before he went on IR?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I'm leading into Zach Miller.
Yeah.
Where
No,
Zach Miller
I tuned out for a sec.
Miller has been productive, and he's in a system with John Fox and Jay Cutler that they like to throw to the tight end. So that's why it was strange to me why Bennett was that bad. So I do like Zach Miller moving forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you see a rapport between him and Cutler this year.
That being said, he wouldn't be my number 1 claim.
Is it Ertz?
Is
Ertz your number 1 claim?
No, it wouldn't be Ertz either.
Ooh, TIE Fighter?
It wouldn't be TIE Fighter.
Ed Dixon?
It wouldn't be Ed Dixon.
We're going to go through Richard Rodgers.
Richard Rodgers would be my number 1 guy.
We got it.
You got Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. He's looking at him. He's been consistent. He's a huge red zone option, and he's facing Oakland. That's
very fair.
If you need a guy this week,
that
would be the guy
Zach,
I'd look for.
I'd go Zach Miller.
They play Minnesota this week, so I mean we got to remember this week. You're probably looking at a single matchup play. TIE Fighter was really good this week.
Yeah. Ty had 5 for 30 and a touchdown, first career touchdown. I like Austin Seferian-Jenkins. There's no reason not to. Vincent Jackson's out. Austin Seferian-Jenkins is getting increased snap counts. He's a big body. He's reliable. He knows what's going on with Winston. Thursday night, I would be very fine playing Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I'd play him over Richard Rodgers this week.
And Zach Miller?
You want a Richard Rodgers?
Are we starting the triangle?
Water bet? Oh, you want?
Yeah,
I would play him over Zach Miller this week.
So
what
I
is
would
the
take
bet?
Richard Rodgers. Mike would take Zach Miller, and you would take Austin Seferian-Jenkins in a 3-way
Bermuda Triangle water bet.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that kind of ends.
Yeah, it does. I apologize.
All right. Well, we've got a tight end bet because we do. All right. Quarterbacks this week. Who do you like to pick up and stream? I know we're going to kind of get into that in our stream of the week section, but some guys on the list here: Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill, guys that are not, Fitzpatrick and Smith are still under 50% owned. Alex Smith and the Chiefs are on a 7-game winning streak. I like the matchup this week, so he's going to end up as one of my favorite streamers this week. Who else do you guys have on the list?
Bortles is mostly owned, but he's still available in almost a quarter of leagues.
That's just not possible.
And I don't care who you have. If you have Tom Brady, you should pick up Blake Bortles in case Brady gets. I mean, as a handcuff, he's playing New Orleans in Week 16. I'm just saying he should be rostered in all leagues.
All right. What about? Do we like Jay Cutler?
think Cutler's okay. I had him decently high this last week.
Because the
and he
Vikings
performed okay.
defense might still be beat up a little bit.
Yeah, I think Cutler's absolutely a decent play.
Kirk Cousins this week against San Diego.
Yeah, I think Kirk's going to be all
These
right.
are some of the plus matchups we're bringing
AJ
up.
McCarron is a guy that if you
I am
want,
fine with him. In 2 quarterback leagues, I'm really fine with AJ McCarron.
Absolutely fine with him because he has enough weapons where he's not going to – one, he's not going to be in a situation where he's going to have to try to win the game. You know, he's on a really good team. He has plenty of weapons, and I think there's enough that he can go around and put up a good fantasy game.
What exactly will he be trying to do out there?
No, you know what I'm saying. Obviously, he's going to try to win the game. I'm saying he's not going to be.
Hugh Jackson came out and said they're not limiting the offense at all.
Yeah,
Well, we saw that when we came in. The what I liked about McCarron is they went full green light right away. You saw what they took shots, and AJ.
How would
Green
Jerry Jones put it? Balls out.
balls out.
Balls out.
They took threw a 60-yard touchdown to AJ Green. He ended the game on what was a horrific pass, but at least he threw it up there. He wasn't going. Alex Smith, I'm going to take the 5-yard throw every single time.
I agree. So defenses this week on the waiver wire, these are great guys to pick up on Wednesday morning because other people might wait another couple days to get them. So you put a waiver claim. I would always place, if I don't need another position, my number one claim is going to be my defense because I need the matchup, and there's nobody better than the Chiefs this week facing off against Jimmy Clausen and the Ravens. You've got the Jets taking on Matt Castle and Dallas. You've got the Patriots facing Marcus Mariota, which is kind of a hit and miss. I'm a little more afraid of the Patriots, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I like the
Patriots' defense has been middling, and
they just dominated Houston.
Okay, but you had a concussed quarterback in that situation too.
They gave
why
him
why
a
was he
concussion.
concussed?
They were beating him to shreds.
There have been quarterbacks that have had success against the Patriots.
That's
and
fair.
you were going to start Hoyer this week against the Patriots.
Yes.
Were you not?
No,
Okay.
I would absolutely would have if I could have.
So I'm just giving perspective. The Patriots tend to blow people out and then give up yards and points late in the game.
Here's a defense that I would be targeting heavily in almost every league. The Pittsburgh Steelers. And you go, what? They're playing Denver. That's not that great.
Oh, it is.
Week 16.
Denver's not bad either.
Yeah,
I would
that's
play
not
them
that
against
bad.
Denver.
But in week 16, they play Baltimore. And that's a divisional game. It's not going to be high scoring. Baltimore's turning the ball over. We don't even know who their quarterback is. Their defense is great, and Pittsburgh is playing for the playoffs. So to me, they're available in most leagues right now. And your championship week, they're going to be one of my highest rated defenses to play. So in the playoffs, sometimes you need to look 2 weeks in advance, and not sometimes, every time.
I really hope that I can get by you somehow this week.
Yeah?
Because the Chiefs play Johnny Manziel in week 16.
So if they didn't, you wouldn't want to get by me.
Oh.
You just...
Well, no, I mean, it's just kind of like how I felt last week where I wanted to play you.
Yeah.
With Thomas Rawls against Cleveland. That didn't work out either. So, all right, I want to get into our...
hold on. This week, Jags Atlanta. I like that play. I think the Jaguars are a good defensive play. And Texans Colts. I want to throw those out there too.
Yeah,
I really like the Texans.
The Texans great because the Colts quarterback, unless Andrew Luck comes back, I love that play.
Absolutely.
And to the person, I don't remember where it popped up. If somebody tweeted at us or I found it on Twitter, who put J.J. Watt's face onto Jamie Lannister with the one hand. That was majestic.
Well done. Well done.